back to another episode of the Horny Football Podcast. Coming up this week, we're going to review all the Premier League action. And Jesus, do we have some topics? We're going to start off with Man United 1, Brighton 3. Oisín, United looked pretty good for the first 20 minutes. Brighton went down and scored, and United's heads dropped. We've seen that quite a few times now, especially we'll say last night in the Bayern Munich game. Why are the heads dropping? What's going on?
I don't know. Realistically, it does fall on the manager that aspect. You have to say that. Like, it is the manager's job to get the juices flowing, get that vibe going. Like, not to panic. It seems as if what they feel at the moment is it must be a case that they think that everything is against them. There's a third game in a row or fourth game in a row now, if you consider the Bayern Munich game, whatever it is. But they must have this kind of such a lack of confidence in the sense that they feel like when they're off top, because there has been games this season, Arsenal, Wolves, where they have been on top. Not Wolves especially, but they have been on top of the first 20 minutes, and then something has happened, and then they just falter, like plummet. And it's happened too many. We're only 5 or 6 games and now competitions this season, but it's one time too many. So I don't know what it is. Is it, look, a lack of confidence? Like, it has to be that, but there's something else. Like, mentally, you go back at the days. You look at Arsenal now, like, and at the end of last season or most of last season, like, their heads do not drop.
Yeah.
Like, if they concede a goal or if they fuck up something, or someone gets injured, Martinelli the last day, their heads don't drop. They keep going. They ignore it. And that's what the top clubs, the top players, that's why they do so well. United just haven't got that in them at the moment, and it's kind of hard to watch.
You said, it's down to the manager to get the players like pumped up, we'll say, but on the pitch, who do United have as leaders? Like, you mentioned Arsenal there, their heads never drop. We've seen it a lot at the end of last season as well. They were going behind early and coming back. But like United, Bruno Fernandes is their captain, and he spends most of the game crying. Like, he's not a leader. Like, you know what I mean?
I do. I love Bruno. He cries a lot. There's no denying that. But now, in fairness, I have to say he has been doing less than he has been doing the first 2 games, and certainly last season he was way worse. Oh my God, he was a right bitch. But leaders, it's a funny one. Like, you think Casemiro's English clearly mustn't be that good just yet, because you think he'd be up there. Varane is a huge miss. He is a leader. Martinez, like, I would have, like, honestly, if it wasn't Bruno Fernandes, I would have said that Martinez should have been captain. He's not looking like captain material himself.
No.
Onana, for all his dominating, even though he's been fucking woeful this season so far, he's been in pathetic goals. So you think there is characters there, but clearly there's not. And I think that's where, look, the book lies. You look at Arsenal, as you say there now, they haven't got one leader. Like, they have 2 or 3. They have Saliba at the back. They have Rice in midfield now alongside Odegaard. Okay. And like Saka, even though he doesn't come across as a very vocal player, he's a leader in the sense that he leads from the front. He always, like, look, he makes mistakes. There has been 1 or 2 instances in this season where he has been given away the ball. He's been kind of lazy, but like, when he gets going, he gets everything pumped up. That's also the sign of a leader. You don't need to be a leader with the armband on your arm.
Yeah.
So at the moment, United, I agree with you. We just don't have that leadership. But look, it's only the 6th game in. We still, like, we had the similar start last season minus Champions League. So we'll just have to see. We have a woeful amount of injuries.
Yeah.
We need, like, the 12 injuries that we have. Like, there's only about 6 that are guaranteed, or 5 that are guaranteed first time team player starters. We need a few back. And then we can really tell where United are.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, injuries do affect, like you're saying, like, there's probably 5 there that are pushing first team, if not guaranteed first team players. So
you look at Saliba last year when he got injured, right? And like, the 2 of you especially were hyping all the time. Saliba's gone. It's gone. That shows you one injury. It only takes one injury to fuck you
Change
up.
the whole.
And like you think of Saliba, like I don't care what anyone says, I agree with you, and I don't overly like agreeing on something about praising an Arsenal player. He's definitely one of the best centre backs, if not currently the best centre back in the Premier League, outside of maybe some of the Man City boys. So it just goes to show you, one injury can kill a whole team or diminish the kind of the flow of a team for a short period of time. We have quite a number of injuries, so that
Yeah.
can't be good. So maybe that's the reason why it's mentally affecting the team too. But sure, look, this is me just obviously speculating, coming up with silent excuses at the same time.
Yeah. Paddy, Brighton, they're under the Zerbi now. They're just incredible. We'll pull up their stats now in a minute. But against United, for the first 20 minutes, United had 62% possession, and then Brighton scored. And then after that, Brighton had about 62, 63% possession. They're just a team that's set out to do their job first. They stop the opposition, and then as soon as they're comfortable in the game, they can just go out against anybody and just go out and just start playing the way they want to play and go from there. Like we've seen, just, like I said, United were on top for 20 minutes and Brighton just clinical on the counter, bang, back at the net, and then they just dominate.
Yeah, exactly is what you said. They're a team. The first 20 minutes they do stop teams from attacking, breaking everything down, and then like especially after the United went 1-0 down, they kind of stopped being a team anymore and kind of turned into individuals, where as Brighton have a game plan, they stick to that game plan, kind of the same as Arsenal as well. They just don't let their heads drop.
Yeah.
They have so many different attacking options as well, especially with Toma. I know that Ferguson was out for the last couple of games as well, so it'll actually be good to see him coming back now this weekend. And then as well, like Ten Hag came out there at the weekend, said that everybody spent money and Brighton spent money in the transfer market. Brighton's team there at the weekend cost 17 million.
Yeah.
And they didn't really buy anybody this summer. Like they just have a great recruitment.
They invested.
Yeah,
they invested in their recruitment, and they're kind of seeing the mistake, or they're learning from the mistakes of Leicester from a couple of years ago. Leicester had a great recruitment, and they started buying big players.
Yeah,
and like unfortunately for the likes of Leicester, the COVID pandemic hit, and they weren't allowed to reap the rewards of that, and then they started losing money because of it. But no, Brighton, like they're going to be up there again there this year. They're playing nice football and they're sticking to their game plans.
And on top of that, you haven't topped up on that, but they made 6 changes against United. Yeah. 6 changes, like away at Manchester United. For the Derby to have that fucking the balls to do that and it working out, that just shows you where they are as a squad.
Well, I think it was Gary Neville that was saying, I was watching it there on Sky Sports, he was saying that at Old Trafford, United are expected to play a certain way, and Brighton just absolutely, turned that around. Man United are supposed to be on the ball, on top, for 90 minutes at home. That's why they were, was it 32 games?
31
games unbeaten at home. Because United obviously at home are a very, very good team, and Brighton were just like, don't give a fuck. We'll play our game. But you can try and play your game, but they sucked it up for 20 minutes and then.
And who was the last team to beat United at Old Trafford? It was Brighton themselves.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's a funny one, but
that's what, 4 in a row Brighton have beaten ye.
Yes.
Jesus. We'll just touch quickly before we finish on Man United and Brighton. We'll touch quickly on Rashford. 3 goals in 20 games.
Yeah, I actually only saw that stat. It was after the Brighton game. I hadn't a clue. I was full sure he scored a few at the end of the latter stages, as in like the last few games of last season. So to see 23 and 20, and one of them coming this season. Yeah. Look, we'll have to call a spade here. He's a great player. Probably the downfall of him this season is because so much went through him last season, especially when he had his run after January and all that, and clearly he didn't have the same run at the end of the year. I couldn't believe that when I seen that. But anyway, he's become too selfish in his own self-awareness, and we saw it. against Brighton where there was a few moments he could have passed it. Like Reguilon made a beautiful overlapping pass. Gross, Rashford could have just passed it through, didn't bother, lost the ball. There was one or two instances where there was the one where he absolutely ballooned it to the top left-hand side of the net, where he could have, hit that with pace across the face of the ball, and Rasmus was sliding in. Whether he would have got to or not, like, is pure speculation, but
Yeah.
that's the opportunity. That's what make good players. So he needs to kick that selfish streak out of it. Look, he set up Rashford or Rasmus for the goal that obviously was gone out, whether it be deemed gone out or gone out, it doesn't matter. But like, I have to be honest here, like, that wasn't his initial plan to make that ball. He was trying to get in, and he just got to the point where he was squeezed so much to the corner, he had to kick the ball.
Just swinging
So I guarantee you, if he didn't get it pushed out to the byline there, he would have taken a shot. His intention wasn't to get Rasmus in. His intention, as was with the whole game, it was pure selfishness. But on top of that, there was other instances. I remember there was 3-on-2, and he still managed to fuck it up. So he needs to realise that he now has a centre forward, and he's not the only player on the pitch. It's as simple as that. Okay, so look.
Quickly now, yes or no? Quickly, will Sancho play for United again?
No,
Paddy?
I don't think so.
I can't see it. Like the way the Ten Hag treated Ronaldo, if he's treating Ronaldo like that, he's going to drop Sancho like a bad habit.
We seen during the Bayern and Man United game last night, Sancho was at home playing FIFA.
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke when was it you that said that in the group chat?
Mentality right now.
I said when someone said that, I said, yeah, sure, wouldn't you? But then popping up on Twitter, like, he was actually live streaming on FIFA. I couldn't believe it. Like, even if you're against the manager, you should be with your teammates at least. And you know what I mean? Just like, even one of them, surely he likes one of them in the fucking squad.
Yeah.
So, so I couldn't believe it. So, like, I know Paddy said the word there, treatment to Ronaldo. Look, Ten Hag didn't want Ronaldo. It wasn't part of his plan. That's fine. But Ronaldo also dug his own grave doing the interview.
Yeah.
Ruthless, like, he had to show a ruthless streak. Any manager would have done that, not just Ten Hag. There's no way any manager on the planet would have kept Ronaldo after what happened. Ronaldo did what he did, and he got what he wanted, and that's just the end of it. He was ruthless to Harry Maguire, and stripping him the captaincy and absolutely showing he wants him out the door. That's fair, and he will be ruthless to Sancho. Sancho as well, and for the most part, he dug his grave. He pinned his fucking tweet. He didn't take it down to 2 days after his meeting. He's been shunned out with the first team, and then he goes and plays FIFA during Man United's first Champions League game in 3 or 4 years. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect?
All right, moving on then, we're going to go to Spurs versus Sheffield. The Spurs did run out 2-1 winners. Sheffield were winning up until the 98th minute, and then Spurs managed to turn it around. Paul Heckingbottom, Sheffield manager, came out after the game, and he was absolutely slating the refs, and I think the rule in general about all this added time that's being allowed in Premier League this season. He was saying that we now have people that don't know how to play the game, running the game, and we'll see what the backlash is from that for him. I don't know if I haven't actually seen anything like any ramifications for him. I'm sure he will get fined for that, I'm sure, but it is a bit ridiculous the amount of time that's been added on in some of these games. Paddy, we'll start with you.
Well, you seen it there last year in the World Cup whenever they tried this out, and to reiterate what Paul Heckingbottom says, you can nearly say that about FIFA. It's people running the game who's never actually properly played the game.
Yeah.
It is getting a little bit ridiculous. Varane came out at the start of the season saying that all these added minutes are going to affect players' welfare. A lot more players are going to get injured a lot more often. Like, it does add a little bit of excitement. I was listening to Gary Lineker during the week. Like, players will get more tired around the 95th, 100th minute or something like that there. So that will lead to more goals and lead to more excitement. But, like, it's just going to get to the point where everybody's going to be run ragged.
Yeah.
And, like...
Well, especially with teams that have teams that are in Europe, playing on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on the weekend they're playing another 10, 15 minutes of football after the 90 minutes. Like, it is in the long term, yeah, like especially with the Carabao Cup coming as well. There's gonna be a lot of time for players to play, but obviously teams with the bigger squads will be okay. But like we'll say United, Chelsea as well have a huge injury list. Like teams like that are gonna suffer big time.
Yeah, I think Paul Higginbotham had a point. I after the game, it came up on online that some loser calculated all the time that should have been given, and it was the equivalent. It was 7 minutes.
Right.
It went over 20 minutes of extra time, as far as I believe, did it? I think Richarlison got like a yellow card for time wasting after like 16 minutes of injury time.
I think it
Something
went.
mental.
Yeah, I can go at the 16. Yeah.
Yeah, so like he's not wrong. I think on Gary's point or Paddy's point about Gary Lineker saying that it may make it more exciting, but do you know what else it will do? It'll make it more dangerous in terms of not just player injuries. It's dangerous tackles,
Yeah.
lazy tackles. You know what I mean? Players that are so exhausted that they feel they have to make that lunging tackle off a player and it'll go over the ball, snap an ankle, snap a leg, something like that. That's where the danger lies, in my opinion. Not so much the tiredness or the leaking of goals or any of that. It's actually the potential of really hard tackles due to fatigue that could cause a serious injury. You see it all the time. If there's players that are overly tired, you see it in the summer as well during a lot of World Cups that there may be a lazy challenge due to fatigue, and that's only going to start happening. And if and when that does come in, like where do the questions lie then?
Do we? Well, not us, but do we like think that there should be an extra sub allowed? I know there's already 5 after COVID. They introduced the 5 subs. There should be the Premier League. They'd be thinking of like 6 subs.
No, sure. You're giving up a whole bench. Then what's the point of that? I wouldn't say that's the answer at all. I think that's the whole reason they let you have 5. But look, like how do you manage? Like they brought it in to stop time wasting during a game. That's fine. But when moments like this happens where they're just pulling out these extra time that no one can account for,
Yeah.
that's when things get strange. Like Sheffield. United did it well, as you said. They got into the 89th or whatever minute, kept Spurs at bay. At home as well. And Spurs have been prolific at home,
Yeah.
so it was unfortunate for them. Richarlison came on. You have to give it to Richarlison. He's going through a hard time. He gets his first. We were slating him there last week. Yeah, we were slating him there, but that was before I seen the
headlines
in Brazil. Yeah, I felt rotten after that. But some of it was justified, though. I'm not going to go back on what I said. Like it was one goal. Yeah, 1 goal in 50 games he got. So he okay, mental health is a serious issue, but like. He was shit. So it was good for him to come off the bench, score a goal, get an assist for Kulusevski. Kulusevski. I can't. Yeah. But he'll be back on the bench next week anyway, so whatever.
Spurs, yeah, they've been very, very good this season under Ange Postecoglou. Are they a bit of a feel-good team? Like, obviously, things are going well for them right now. They did well, obviously, to come back against Sheffield, but they're up against Arsenal at the Emirates now on Sunday. If Arsenal are dominant, like we've seen Arsenal last night against PSV, they were emphatic, they were electric. Everything was. They haven't really got out of second gear in the Premier League yet. But if they turn up against Spurs and start, pounding at the door at Spurs, like I don't see if things start going wrong, who's going to step up in that team. Like you used to have, Harry Kane, England captain of Spurs. You had Hugo Lloris, French captain, big leader in the team, a big voice on the team.
Shy keeper though.
No, shy keeper, yeah, 100%. But who do Spurs have? Like they don't. Like we were talking about leaders at United. I don't think like Maddison, fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, but he has the tendency to lose his temper quite a lot. So it's kind of interesting to see. Like Heung-min Son, obviously he's captain now, but we don't know. We've seen he has a tendency to kind of go missing sometimes. He did a lot last season anyways. Now he started well, obviously this year. But who do they have that would really, if they go down a goal or two, we'll say to a bigger team, like to an Arsenal, we'll say on the weekend, hopefully they go a goal or two down. I don't see them. I don't see anyone firing up them boys to come back. Maybe Ange, who knows? Yeah.
Well, before I let Paddy really answer this one, but I want to say like on one thing. Like you're right, they haven't got many leaders. James Madison is captain. I think he's vice captain for Spurs. Son, Romero at the back. But I want to go back on my point I said about Saka earlier on. You don't need to be a captain to have an arm, the armband around your arm. These Spurs players have been showing the last few games, like all the way from Udogie to Van der Ven, Vicario, who else is Basuma? So these players have been without the captain's armband. These boys have been playing from the front. They've been leading from the front. They've been playing like captains. They've been playing really well. So to answer your question, you don't need to have captains or the captain's armband around your arm. You just need people to lead from the front. And at the moment, Spurs have that. So that's where that would be my answer to that. So I don't know what Paddy thinks about that one now.
Yeah, it's typical Ange ball. There wasn't like whenever Ange Postecoglou was at Celtic, there wasn't really one or two main players for that. So like the team works for the team. So like everybody was talking about where's all the goals going to come from whenever Kane goes, and you've seen it over the last couple of weeks that everybody is chipping in, everybody is working for each other. It could be seen as a feel-good thing, but they were struggling against Sheffield United until roughly around the 85th minute. Sheffield United could take a lot of positives from that game last week as well. I had them tipped for going down straight away this year, but after last week's performance, I can actually see them just surviving. But Tottenham haven't really played anybody in the top 8 this year.
And they played a bad Man United.
Well, like this is going to be one of their first tests.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're at the Emirates. Yeah, I think we're going to batter their fucking heads in. Right.
But in saying that though, it's the first time in a long time that I've been scared at Spurs.
I will be too. You haven't been like, you bet PSV 4-0 last night. You bet like a shite fucking Dutch team. You haven't been setting the world alight in the Premier League lately, where I think
our players take a lot of positives from that game last night. There's just a really good atmosphere around the club right now. Champions League, first time in 6-7 years that we're back in. The place was rocking, 4-0, great performance. It will take a huge amount of confidence going into that Spurs game, I think, especially at home.
Yeah,
and barely got out of second gear last night.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got out of second gear all Premier League. We'll move on to Arsenal eventually, but just really quickly touching on Spurs. They were wasteful. They were wasteful for most of that game. They had, I can't remember the stats, I didn't have them here in front of me, but they were very, very wasteful. Are they still, maybe they just got lucky that Richarlison came on and got it for them? Are they still missing the out-and-out striker?
Oh, they definitely got lucky. They definitely got lucky.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you're not lucky. You get 89th minute or whatever he's come in and get 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes. Oh, they absolutely got lucky, but fucking hell, you need luck in this game, don't you?
Right, next up we have Wolves 1, Liverpool 3. Wolves, again, it's hard to know what Wolves, they're creating a lot of chances, but they just can't score. We've seen against Man United the first game of the season, they absolutely should have battered Man United off the pitch, which they did in a sense, but they just couldn't put the ball in the net. We've seen a couple of chances that Wolves missed, easy chances that they really should be scoring, and obviously Liverpool came back from a goal down. Run out 3-1 winners, but like, where do Wolves go? They can't score.
Wolves are actually the opposite of Spurs. Like, they're creating chances, but Spurs are actually putting them away. I think like Hechan getting that goal early last week was kind of lucky for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, they're leaking goals at the back. They're not keeping, like, they're having financial problems as well.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, like that whole Portuguese revolution is coming to an end.
Yeah.
Now, so like whenever you see most of their players going off to the likes of Liverpool and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a sinking ship there at Wolves. I want them to be down there.
Yeah, I think, it was not last season. The season before last season, the Wolves were actually a very, very good team. They were very good at home at Molineux. They played really, really nice football. They had that huge Portuguese influence for whatever reason, but it worked for them. But yeah, it's fizzling out big time. They're kind of they don't look like a team that can stay in the Premier League. And I like Wolves, don't get me wrong, but it'll be hard unless they turn it around big time. It's hard to see them getting results.
Yeah, I think look, they're, as Paddy said, like they are creating the chances, as you said as well. They are creating the chances. They're just not getting the goals.
Mm.
They got an early look. They got the early goal and they were leading at half time. Okay, and they were fairly comfortable in terms of they were holding Liverpool back. Liverpool got unlucky. Salah was off the ball at the start. He missed a few poor passes. Gakpo too. Szoboszlai, third week in a row. I'm going to say it. He's a baller. He was the only Liverpool player that I could really see was going to cause any damage in the first half. But yeah, at the end of the day, you need to put your chances away. They seem to be at the moment running heavy on Cunha. So like they have him up front, but they kind of it's like kind of like a Harry Kane in the sense that he was coming deep, but Harry Kane was coming deep to give the ball through. It seems as if they want to give the ball to Cunha so he can run at the midfielders, and like after a while it's quite predictable, and it did become quite predictable. Neto had a great game on the left hand side. I felt like I thought he was very good. Lemina was quite good too until he came off injured. But look, Wolves, you feel bad for them because I do think Gary O'Neill is a good manager. And I think he deserved his chance. I think Paddy said like the financial thing isn't going to help them. Yeah, they need a striker. Cunha is better off on the left or right. Hee-chan is a good player, but he's not fantastic. You're better off putting either Neto or Cunha on the wings and get a striker. So I look. They need to invest in January. I don't know where they're going to get it from, but if they don't get a striker in January, because they can get the chances, right? It's just putting them away. So.
Looking at Liverpool's defence there, they're pretty garbage. They've been conceding a lot of goals first, but obviously their attack, Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz is having a good season so far. Super clinical going forward. Their midfield, obviously the rebuild with McAllister, Szoboszlai. They're doing really, really well going forward. But that defence, you can get at that defence. Like people are kind of saying, "Oh, Liverpool are back." They're going to be able to compete with Man City. I kind of don't. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't see it either. Like that tackle that got Van Dijk sent off there, maybe about a year and a half ago, he would have been back to properly defend it. But no, it was just a lazy challenge. Yeah. And you can see he's just been overused and he's fucked. He's not the player that he was.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and
strikers used to be afraid of coming up against Van Dijk. And everybody used to be afraid of Trent as well.
Yeah,
I think they're more afraid of Trent for the attacking options, but they know where
he came from.
Yeah, so they know that they can get down at least one side because Andy Robertson, he's a typical Scottish person. He's a fucking little dog, and he'd fucking keep chasing after you, chasing after the ball. So there's one part that's strong, and then there's two chinks in that there armor of Liverpool's defense.
Well, like that Liverpool defense for the most part, I think, apart from Trent, he's a glorified midfielder who can pass the ball. It is playing right back. Andy Robertson is a brilliant left back. There's no denying that. Joel Matip, I don't rate him. When they had Joe Gomez, didn't rate him. Is he gone? Can I say he's not great? And Van Dijk, yes, but he was one of the best. I think he went a whole season without being dribbled past. Although I feel like that stat is completely bullshit, but whatever. He's not the same. I think the one thing I will say, and he'll probably end up watching this, but your brother Schmad said something at the start of the season that Alexis McAllister won't be the same player he was at Brighton, and I think he's proven to be that. He's not the same player he was at Brighton. He's fucking fair. Like he got a yellow card in the first 5 minutes from a stupid tackle. I know he was sent off and it was rescinded earlier in the year, but he hasn't been lighting up any trees. You know what I mean? So I think when they get Gravenberch on, he'll settle the ship. Although I think he came off injured tonight.
We
I think
did,
I
yeah.
saw it early.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
so that's annoying for them. But
Yeah.
like thank God for Liverpool for their midfield that they got Szoboszlai because he's unreal. He's just a box to box. He's a machine. He's strong. He's fast. He pass the ball, kick the ball with both feet. And then look, their attack is mighty. It's unstoppable, and they have options too. So Nunes, Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, and Salah. You're not moving Salah, but between the left wing and the centre forward, you have four players to move around from that are
Yeah.
four very good players. So I agree with you. They're whoever says they're competing for the fucking title is a dickhead and
Yeah,
is dumb and is
100%.
just
It's
like
Liverpool fans.
yeah, do you know, like top four I can see happening, no problem. Like
Yeah.
no problem. They are playing like it, like they are playing with that kind of brute force mentality. They're clinical up top, but they can't defend. But when Arsenal come up against them and Man City come up against them, I'm interested to see how well they'll do defensively then because they're two teams that will score and they're two teams that can defend.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this bullshit of City winning the league or compete for the league is absolute. I don't know what to
Bullshit.
say. So look, let the Liverpool fans and whoever other neutral fans say whatever they want about Liverpool. They ain't winning no title anytime soon.
Beautiful. All right, from there we're going to move on to West Ham, Man City. West Ham 1, City 3. West Ham played very, very well up until half time. It seemed that once they came out in the second half, City were dominant that game. Don't get me wrong. They had, I think it was like 32 shots, something like that. They were crazy. But West Ham, in fairness to them, we were talking last week about how good they've been this season. They're a lot more fluid in their attack now. Like last season, they were very rigid, kind of hard to. I wouldn't say hard to beat at the last 20 games, but they were hard to break down at times. You know what I mean? They were very, very solid. They were very, very solid. But now it seems like they have the wing play going on. They have more attacking players in the team, and yeah, I think obviously Man City being Man City, they just had too much in the end. Haaland coming on, Alvarez is just absolutely having a great start to the season in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. I think City, where they are now, like we've seen in Champions League against Red Star Belgrade, they went in losing halftime. I don't think City are as good. They've won 5 games in a row in the league. That's fine. The end of last season, they had 15 games. They won 13, drew 1, lost 1. That's kind of the same vein of form this year. But City, touching on that now, I think they're beatable. I think they're very beatable.
They are. I think West Ham. I look same as kind of the Wolves game on Liverpool. West Ham went up at halftime 1-0 up. I was delighted for James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah,
I just knew he was going to score. But I just you just knew for I don't know what reason it came over me, but I just thought, fuck, if there's any West Ham player going to score today, it's James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
Look, the Paqueta is like for all the shit that's about to hit him very shortly. He's playing very well. Bowen didn't have a great game, but that's not to say he wasn't. He wasn't like he was coming up against Kanye, was it, or was it Guardiola? Guardiola at left back.
Yeah.
Guardiola is not the fastest player, but he's a bully. And then yeah, and exactly. So Souček had a decent game. Alvarez was okay. I believe he got a very dubious yellow card in the first half for time wasting when they went up. When it was like he only just got the ball or something to take a free kick or something, and he got a yellow card. Well, that's another one. That's another one of those bullshit. Like,
there was a few. The Burnley keeper getting booked after 10 minutes for time wasting.
Yeah, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think I said it before and I'll say it again. I think when Kudus comes in ahead of Antonio, he'll do more damage. Antonio, he had few goals this season, but like he's fucking bang average. Kudus is a player once he gets integrated and just bang him up top like Ajax did. I think West Ham are going to do really well. Like I've been looking at, I watched them against City. There's not much they could have done against City. Like apart from obviously they did concede a lot of shots defensively. But Areola did well. He made about 10 saves or something like that. He did really well himself. But there's not many minnow teams up to mid-table teams, up to the top half teams can do against a City team like that. But West Ham, I think, are going to be good. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a European spot the way they're going. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
The West Ham team actually this season's kind of reminded me of the early noughties David Moyes Everton team. Like they're very, very hard to break down at home. They're very, very good defensively. And saying that though, Jeremy Doku did ball his way into the box and score the goal. And I think one of the biggest headlines of last weekend was James Ward-Prowse scored and it wasn't a free kick. It was actually a header, which was more surprising.
Yeah.
Like their build-up play has been very good this season. They've invested very, very well with the Declan Rice money, and that's not done yet either. But like City can be got at as well. It's just who has the firepower to try and do it. Like,
agreed. Yeah, I think Doku just I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think he was gonna be as good as the players he's turned out to be. He's fire. Alvarez, as Dan said, he's like you wouldn't miss Kevin De Bruyne the way he's playing. He's getting like nearly a goal or assist every game. Haaland, from my recollection of that game, I thought he was shit.
He was pretty.
He still got a goal. You know what I mean? So
against Red Star, he had numerous chances. And he can't score. Like I know he's been scoring consistently. He has like I think 6 goals or 7 goals in the league already, something like that. But he's not as clinical. He probably should have more. I think he should probably have 10, 12 goals by now in the league. But he's kind of going through that patch where he's not everything's working out for him, but he's still
scoring.
That's what the best strikers do, right? They still fucking find a way to score. Like I think last year we were kind of just used to him getting hat tricks every other game. And now he's only getting 1 goal, or like he's getting more assists, I think, this season. But
he got a hat trick already this season. But,
but
it's nonetheless. It's
4 games. He got 3 hat tricks or something like that. It was great.
Yeah, but he could have had 4 hat tricks by now as well. You know what I mean? So I do agree with you. But look, well, I don't want to go. Like to be honest with you, I can't be fucked talking about Man City. There's nothing more to say other than they're a serious team. Even when they're shite, they're good. Even when they're back,
like Arsenal, a bit better than Arsenal. Obviously, they're not getting out of second gear, but they're still getting the results, and that's all that matters really. The 3 points. Touching on Arsenal now, we're going to go Everton 0, Arsenal 1. For about 70 minutes, Everton were defensive team. They could not create anything going forward. They were just incredibly defensive. I think that's one of Everton's biggest problems is that they like to, what's typical Sean Dyche, right? He likes to set up to avoid defeat, but at the same time, you're sacrificing going forward. Like Everton didn't create anything. They created, I think it was one shot on target, I think it was. It was Decore in like the 80th minute, whatever it was. And Arsenal, in fairness, they were dominant. They kept chipping away. First half, they probably should have been ahead. I think the Martinelli goal, which was disallowed, I think that was a bit dubious now, to be fair. Like we were saying,
the offside one.
I
thought that was. I was very surprised for that.
The angle that VAR showed, like what they used with the lines, didn't at all look.
Even though the lines look like miles apart.
Yeah, and like then they showed like a couple of minutes later, they showed it from a completely different angle, not VAR related. They just showed a replay of it from a different angle, and that looked more inclusive. And Gary Neville said on his podcast this week, saying how VAR, that decision, he said a lot of that was guesswork. Like that wasn't true at all. Like that, to me, that looked onside. It looked like a totally fine goal, but VAR obviously saw something different that I don't think anyone else saw. So I think it is a lot of guesswork going on with VAR now. They're kind of afraid to, I don't know, make some decisions. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And then just even to touch on, you were saying about Everton. I was watching like the comparisons of Sean Dyche's first game, which was against Arsenal, and the game there last week, and it was completely night and day. That first game, Everton was hounding Arsenal, didn't give Arsenal any time on the ball at all. And then for the first 20 minutes, Arsenal were leisurely in the park, passing it to each other, keeping the ball. Sean Dyche has 2 games to save his ass.
Yeah. Do you think
if he doesn't get a result against Bournemouth and Luton he can easily say goodbye.
Yeah.
Arsenal didn't even get out of first gear last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Everton is in serious trouble going down.
Big trouble. They just like they've had a lot of good players down the years. I mean, I know Calvert-Lewin's injury, he's so injury prone, and I feel bad because he actually, on his day, he can be a decent striker, but they just can't score. They can't, for whatever reason, they just can't score.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for that Beto lad because when we first all
Yeah.
see him in the
Yeah.
the League Cup there a few weeks ago when he came off the sub,
Like,
it was like
yeah.
the day after he signed. He was unreal. Like
Yeah.
he was mad. Like he was a monster. Because I feel like I think there's one moment that I saw in the very limited time I saw the game. He tried take on Saliba. Now Saliba got the better of him, but it's the way he had the confidence to take on Saliba.
Yeah.
Saliba's faster. He's not as big as Beto, but he's more agile and he was just a better defender than Beto was attacker. But he had the confidence to take him on to try to get the shot off. Saliba pushing too far over the right, and he kind of scuffed the shot. Like if you were an Everton player, you should be looking at that thinking like this man wants to have a go. Give him the ball, get him the opportunity, but they showed nothing of the sort. Like
they have players like fucking Dwight McNeil, who's a championship player. Like
at best,
he's a fraud. Like he's not a Premier League player. They have players like that, that don't really bring anything to the table. Like they just have no creativity. They play with three kind of whole, like they have Onana, Doucouré. I know Doucouré is kind of playing more attacking this year, but he's not an attacking midfielder by any means. He's a holding midfielder. They have Idrissa Gana Gueye as well. So they play with three holding midfielders and expect to kind of create with Dwight McNeil on the left and whoever else on the right. They're just not. They can't create. Like fair enough, they defensively, I think they're okay, but obviously they concede a lot of goals because they're shite at the back, whatever. But I don't know. They just can't create anything. I think that's most sort of the problem. Like yeah, they held Arsenal for 70 minutes, but if they had gone a goal up at any stage, if they had, because Arsenal are liable to concede goals, 100%. We've seen that.
That was with Ramsdale in nets.
That
could be a completely different topic as well. But they're missing that leadership with Seamus Coleman as well.
Yeah, exactly, at the back especially. He was a huge player for
them. Even if he wasn't on the game, he was still a commanding figure on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think Mykolenko was quite lucky not to receive a card throughout the game, I believe.
I don't know how he didn't. I mean, he fouled 6 times. He kicked the ball away, I remember once. I don't know how he got away with no card. Like, it's just, like we were talking about last week, there's no fucking consistency in these refs anymore. It's just a joke. Anyways. All right, moving on then, we're going to talk about Bournemouth and Chelsea. Boring old 0-0. Chelsea, again, wasteful. Bournemouth, I said it a couple of weeks ago, Bournemouth are a good side at home. They're hard to break down. Like, it is a small little pitch. They're hard to break down, but a team like Chelsea, I mean, I guess Chelsea right now are kind of in the mud a little bit. I'll say a little bit. They're fucking in the mud. But we did touch on it as well. They do have a mounted injury list. Cucurella's out. I think Caicedo has a little bit of a niggle now. Big players for them that are just constantly getting injured. So where do Chelsea go from here, Oisin?
Well, we've had this conversation. This is the third time we're saying that of a team that can't put the ball in the net. They're getting the chances, but they're not putting them away. I think Mudryk, I think you dodged a bullet with him anyway, right?
There you go. Touch it on Mudryk real quick, because we were haggling over 90 million. We brought in Trossard, who we we'll touch on now. But Trossard's been fantastic since he signed for us.
And it's talk about a twist of fate, you know what I mean? So I think Mudryk, he completely outpaced the right back for Bournemouth, but like he did fuck all other than that. Sterling did okay, no end product. Nicholas Jackson is a yellow card merchant.
One away from suspension now, I think he is already.
You know what I mean? And how earlier on the sense, like I can't understand it. Like Gallagher, I was surprised. Like Gallagher played okay. He got the captain's armband. He had a good game. Axel Disasi, a good player. Again, another yellow card merchant. The only player that has impressed me over the last 2 or 3 games really has been the Gusto, the guy at right back. Has been really good. Colwell, I touched on this last week. He's not a left back. He's been played left back. He's completely unfamiliar to that role. He's uncomfortable. He's big, broad, muscular, great tackler. He has a bit of pace in him, but like that's all well and good if you know how to play the position. He doesn't know how to play the position, especially going forward. Look, there was times when him and Mudryk had a good relationship, but a lot of the time was Cole going up probably to halfway line a little bit after getting the ball to Mudryk. There's like kind of no overlapping as you see with Chilwell. So look, yes, okay, we have to like Chelsea have a lot of injuries, but no more than United, I suppose, at the moment. Even though United can get a goal or two here and now and there, Chelsea just aren't doing it. You made the point there last week, I think it was maybe about Luton. They got 3-0. It completely deceived us. Because it's Luton. They're like fucking hell. There's dog water as anything. But I don't know what Chelsea can do. I think they need to start as they need to get all their players back from injury, no more than like the likes of United. Then we'll see when they get to like when Nkunku back in behind Jackson, when they get Moises Caicedo up and running, just these guys as well. Then we'll see where Chelsea are at. Again, we'll go touch on it again like we did a few weeks ago. They spent all this money on fucking nobodies where they could have got that striker that they needed. The Vlahovic, you know what I mean? The Victor Osimhen, any other striker. Like I have a feeling that they'll go for Ivan Toney in the summer or in the January because of this.
I've seen some leaks. I think Arsenal as well.
Yeah,
I
see Arsenal too. So two teams. I'm surprised at Arsenal, but I'm not because you do need a good striker. Like you have Nketiah and Jesus are doing okay. But I think
they could do very well.
I think you would too. But I think Chelsea need him that little bit more. Was he a Chelsea product? Did he come from Chelsea Academy?
Newcastle product.
Newcastle. So, look, we'll see. But I felt bad for Bournemouth because they had their chances too. I think they had the same amount of shots. They definitely played like that. That Iriola guy is. I think no one really cared much about him after Gary O'Neill got fired. But look, it's a Bournemouth team that are doing okay. They're on the ball. They're quite good. Off the ball, they're very good as well. Ryan Christie's, like Solanke's doing really well. Philip Billing is doing well. They just need to add goals.
Yeah. Up next, then we're going to touch on Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 1. Paddy, quick question: is Ollie Watkins overrated? I think he is.
Right off the bat. Fucking hell.
I think because he had a very a good one-on-one chance and hit a straight keeper, could have squared it, but he squared. I'm not basing it just off that, but I think it's just in general. Like he had a good season last year, obviously, but that might have just been like just a one season wonder because other than that, the last couple of years he's been pretty average. I think he's overrated.
To be brutally honest, I think Ollie Watkins is Calvert-Lewin without injuries.
There you go. Yeah. That's a fair point. That's actually
that's all I can say about Calvert-Lewin.
That's a bold.
About Ollie Watkins. But here Villa are playing well. Villa are playing very well this year. It just shows you fucking Emery's a good coach with the right team. Well, especially whenever they have a team with the team name Villa in it, anyway.
Yeah, well, they did lose today against Legia Warsaw, but that's a tough place to go. They lost 3-2. Yeah. Palace played pretty well for the majority of that game. I think it was it Eze? I think Eze had a chance on the 81st minute, tried to lob Martinez. Martinez made fantastic saves, don't get me wrong, and that would have been 2-0. I think that would have been game over. Villa, obviously, same as Spurs, they left it late, got a couple of late goals, got a penalty. So I think Villa, in a way, created a lot, but they couldn't finish either, and they got away with it in the end.
Yeah, bar that slip from Martinez for that goal, Villa would have been away with a clean sheet. Yeah. Crystal Palace. It's a Roy Hodgson team. Like it's going to be the same thing every year. They're always going to be thereabouts. Like they're always going to be 10th to 15th. Yeah. And they're always going to scrape results here and there. Well, Selhurst Park is always a hard place to go as well. Yeah. So they'll be fine.
Alton-Edouard has started the season pretty well. Has a couple of goals this season already. Last season he just couldn't put the ball in the net. I think that was mostly because Wilfred Zaha was very selfish player. He always has been, but he was always the main man for Crystal Palace. So I think Odsonne Edouard is kind of showing now this year that he can actually do it when he gets the ball. So I like him. I think he's a good little player.
Yeah.
Probably get to 10. I think he'll probably get 10 plus goals this year. Definitely.
Yeah, I like
Edouard
him
is very good. Edouard is a very good player, and actually, just to touch on, I thought Zaha was actually injured until last night, and then I found out that he was at Galatasaray. Just shows you.
Yeah.
Like, no, because I heard about his injury there at the
Much
he had a bad injury there last season, and then all of a sudden I see him at Galatasaray, and I was like, when the fuck was that there? It just seems like the last transfer window, everything is kind of being posted.
Bit slow, yeah, but whatever.
I'm always slow, but fuck it.
All right, and lastly, then we have Newcastle 1, Brentford 0. This was kind of Newcastle showing signs of their defensive solidarity from last season. There was a lot of time waste and a lot of bullshit going on towards the end of the game, which they got away with, seeing like Callum Wilson and Anthony Gordon getting carded late on for like time wasting and disrupting the play, which is, I expected of Newcastle. I think they were one of the worst teams last year for time wasting. But Callum Wilson has done very, very well for Newcastle. I think he's a fantastic striker under Eddie Howe. I think he's 18 goals under Eddie Howe now. Maybe actually a bit more. Actually, I think it's probably near 20 now. But Brentford played pretty well. I think Brian Mbeumo and Wissa played pretty well, but they're still missing. Last week we were touching on how well the two boys are doing, but they still miss Ivan Toney. Obviously, he's a huge loss. He was their main man, but they did find a way for the last couple of games. But Newcastle. I think at the back, Newcastle are pretty sound, and Brentford they were unfortunate, but at the same time they were fortunate that they didn't give away a second penalty for Wilson and Tech. But I think Newcastle, we've seen them against AC Milan. Went to San Siro 0-0. They were under pressure for 95 minutes of that game. And they still, came away with the clean sheet. I don't know if that was AC Milan being poor, which they have been in recent times, or Newcastle, like I said, showing that signs of their defensive solidarity. So that's 2 clean sheets against two good teams.
Yeah, I think you've made the right kind of comment there on their backline. They did show most certainly that the defensive prowess that they had last season. They all played well. Sven Botman was immense. Dan Burn back at left back. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
Trippier was good. It was nice to see the front three of Harvey Barnes, Wilson, and Anthony Gordon. That was actually good to see. I was wanting to see that for Newcastle for a while. I wanted to see a team with Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes and see how well they cope. And they were brilliant. They never stopped running. They were at Rico Henry and Aaron Hickey the whole night. Now, I'll touch on it in a second. I feel bad for Rico Henry. He had a great start of the season. He's going to miss the whole season now. Ben Mee as well, only just back from a bad injury, injured again. Ethan Pinnock was really the only kind of shining light in that kind of Brentford backline there. Nathan Collins was very shaky. He had a few good moments, but nothing that really not like I'm used to seeing him.
Typical Collins, eh?
Typical Collins. That's it. Yeah, one bad game, and no. Matthias Jensen, he's had a good few games this season.
Yeah, Jensen, I was going to touch on him. Yeah,
he's been good. He got unlucky. Wissa and Mbeumo have been very good. Quite unlucky that night. But look, Newcastle were just that bit better defensively than they were attacking. I just want to touch on one thing though. I said it last year. I say it again. Nick Pope is not a good keeper.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
He's fucking bang average at best. Like his passing is whatever about the shit that I give Ramsdale for kicking the ball out for throwing 59 times a game. Nick Pope will do it 60. You know what I mean? He's passing his fucking cat.
He's for the last of those kind of. Like we see a lot of keepers now who are really good at their feet. Like he's not good.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Just a big awkward lanky string of piss. You know what I mean? He's not a good keeper. I just wanted to that was just a random point I want to put out. I know. Look, Newcastle are brilliant defensively. They won well. against a dogged Brentford side. 1-0 flattered Brentford, I feel, more than Newcastle. But look, yeah, it is what it is.
I'll say quickly, just like 30 seconds, just Fabian Schär, when he first went to Newcastle, I thought it was absolutely dog shy. He's come on so much over the last season and a half. Like, he's just been phenomenal for Newcastle. Barring injuries, he stays fit. Like, he's always in the team. He's just quality defender. He's definitely just grown into that under Eddie Howe, especially. Just definitely gotten much better.
Yeah, it depends on your defensive partner as well.
Well, there you go. Sven Botman is a great defender. He's a great buy for Newcastle.
Yeah, like if you think about the defensive duos through the years, like Steve Bold, Adams and Keown, Botman and Fabian Schär, and then Vidic and Ferdinand, like it's nearly as important as the front two partnership. So like he's striving under or with Botman at the back.
They do click well together, don't they? Really.
Yeah.
They do have a good understanding of each other, and that's another boy if you think about it there now outside of Kieran Trippier. Schär is a leader as well. Like he's leading from the front as well. Same with Batman, they lead from the front. So no, that was a good point to bring up because he was absolutely ass hats when he first signed.
Yeah.
And there was talk about when Newcastle wanted Disasi from Chelsea that Schär's place was up for grabs. He's shown now that he's locked in, yeah.
Barring any injuries. All right, so moving on to the game week 6 action, we're going to start with the first game, Crystal Palace at home to Fulham. Paddy, who's going to win?
I'm actually going to call it a draw.
Draw. Collins?
Draw.
I think Palace or draw. I think Palace at home are very good. Next up, Luton at home to Wolves. I think this could be where Luton get something. They could get a point out of this game if they I mean, like I say, Wolves are kind of dog water right now, so I think this is the chance for Luton to kind of put some points on the board. They need these are the games that they need to put points on the board.
I'm actually going to go with a Luton win.
Very good. All right.
Not even a draw.
I think if I'm going to say Wolves just to be the devil's advocate, but just to be a prick. But the reason I say this is if Wolves don't win, if they can't get a few goals here, then they're fucked. Yeah. I'm going to say Wolves for the sake that they need to start putting away those chances.
Yeah. Next up, then we have Man City at home to Nottingham Forest. I can see City putting probably 4 or 5 past Forest there.
Yeah, bend over Forest. City's coming.
Collins, yeah.
I can't get any more better descriptive than that. Yeah, City win.
But no one hour look now. The way we've been talking, we've been fucking putting people down, and then they've been proving us wrong every week. So dirty old.
But that would be nice.
Wait for 1-0 Forest. Wait for 1-0 Forest.
Yeah, but you get 1-0 Forest at half time, and then 7-1 then at full time.
Brentford at home to Everton is next up. I think Everton are in big trouble. I think Brentford win this game pretty handily.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like the way that Everton will be playing, you can't see anything other than a Brentford win.
Paddy?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that there. Yeah, Brentford should win, but I'm actually going to go for a draw.
Then the big game of the weekend, Burnley at home to Manchester United. This is going to be a tough game to call. We've seen, we didn't touch on it this week, but Burnley against Nottingham Forest Burnley were playing pretty well under Forest. Against Forest, sorry. Iman Koleosha, he had a fantastic game. He's a danger. He's only young Italian. It's just the way United are going. I think United need to win, but if they try and force the win, they'll probably draw the game. I think a draw game.
Yeah. No, I'll probably. My head says Burnley win, but I'm thinking it's going to be a draw as well.
Paddy's just here to talk shy.
Bunch of fucking Arsenal cunts.
Hold on. Onana's job is to keep the ball out of the net with his hands, not to be good with his fucking feet. And you seen it last night. He was shite with his hands too. So
Seen it for the whole season. He's been shite with his fucking hands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
true.
too.
Yeah, that's true.
Watching
No,
Hey, is laughing.
Collins saying that he prefers Onana over David Raya. There we go. Just saying.
I stand by that comment. I'm going for a United win. I think so. Yeah, I think Ramos will get his Premier League goal.
And then I guess the biggest one of the weekend would be Arsenal at home to Spurs. I can see Arsenal, like we were saying, they haven't really got out of second gear. I can see us conceding a goal, but I can see us probably scoring 2 or 3 anyways. I think we'll probably win 3-1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an Arsenal win as well. It's the first time that I've actually been kind of afraid of Spurs over the last couple of years, the way that they've been playing over the last couple of games, but they haven't really played anybody big yet.
Yeah.
But I still reckon it's going to be an Arsenal win.
They did beat United. It's not that they're not fucking small, Paddy.
United aren't great, so.
Well,
Yeah,
United
that's true.
aren't great.
Yeah, too. I think Arsenal win it by just. I don't think it's gonna be huge margins in it.
Next up, then it's Brighton at home to Bournemouth. I guess we can kind of see now with Brighton playing this evening in the Europa League if there's any hangover, but I do think they'll probably have too much at home for Bournemouth.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Brighton win definitely.
We have Chelsea at home to Aston Villa. I think Villa take this one. I think Chelsea are just so far in the mud. Although saying that, Villa haven't been fantastic as of late, but I still think they'll come back and they'll snatch 3 points at home to Chelsea.
Yeah, I think Villa will nick it too. I don't think it'll be by much, but I think they'll nick a slow margin win, 1-0, 2-1.
Could be a 1-0
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Villa's going to win it as well, and I think Ollie Watkins will fucking score after the comment I made earlier on.
Yeah. Then it's going to be Liverpool at home to West Ham. This could go either way. I don't know. This is a tough game to call. I think Liverpool, obviously, like we were saying, good at the front, bad at the back. Kind of like you, Paddy. But I don't know. And West Ham obviously have been the same. They've kind of been decent going forward, solid at the back actually, and it's just hard to know. I think it could be a draw.
Yeah, I think a draw too. Like I was thinking of this earlier on today when I was seeing these lineups. I can't call it. I think if West Ham started Kudus up top, I'd be interested to see how they go on. But I think a draw is probably what I'd go for. Yeah.
Very good.
I'd actually go for a slight Liverpool win.
Right.
2-1.
2-1. Very good. And the last one of the weekend, Sheffield United at home to Newcastle. I think this is also a tough one to call. Depends if Newcastle come out. The last 2 games have been, defensively solid. I think they'll obviously win the game, but Sheffield haven't been playing all that bad this season. They haven't got the results, but they haven't been playing terribly. I think they could maybe sneak a goal, but I think Newcastle probably have too much in attack for Sheffield. Especially look at Alexander Isak, who's been playing phenomenal this year.
I think Newcastle will win that by 2 or 3 goals. I think Oliver McBurney missing for this game is a huge loss for them. Cameron Archer's a good player, but he won't be able to do it up himself. So I think James McEntee and Jaden Bridge, I think they're injured, aren't they, after that last game?
I don't know.
Well, one of the two anyway got injured, and they're starting midfielder. So no, I think Newcastle win that. I think handy enough. I think 3-0, 2-1, or 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
Maybe a goal by Sheffield United, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same. It'll actually show Newcastle squad depth now this weekend as well, especially after playing in Europe this week. So, but I do think it's going to be Newcastle -2.
And that's going to do it for another episode here on the Horny Football Podcast. I want to thank Paddy and Oisín for joining us this week. I want to thank everyone for viewing us, and let us know in the comments what you think on last week's